Hello traders, today is Wednesday, December 11, 2024. As per usual, this is not financial advice. This content is for educational purposes only. Do your own research before you decide to invest your money in any type of investments. Let's start the video with AMD. And mentioned AMD yesterday, the day before, and I've been on it quite often lately. One of the things that I mentioned in the past, and even probably yesterday as well, is and we are coming closer towards 121. If that is the case, that would be fantastic. However, today we had a pretty decent day. If we go back to the 5-minute, you had a little bit of a push to the downside in the beginning of the trading hours. Then you rally a little bit. Then you came back down towards 26.4 or so, and then we're looking at the 5-minute here. You pushed all the way up. Now, one of the things that I feel that is a little bit intriguing is, and I believe this level right here, even though we have low liquidity, if we approach towards 121, we're probably gonna rebound in this area and continue going up towards 134. Now, one of the things that I did today, let me take a look at my brokerage account, is buy May calls. There are 140 May calls. So 140 is all the way up here. Where are you? Right here. So it's not that far away if you actually think about it. So I got these calls, but I'm starting with a very small position. And if this continues to go down, I'm gonna increase my position. And if this kind of like stays in this area, I'm still gonna continue adding to my position. And I think this is gonna pay off. Anyways, one of the challenges that we have here is obviously going back over 134 and moving over this area here towards the 35 SMA. You also have a pretty decent amount of liquidity up in this area around 140, 144, and then you have the 325 SMA. MACD and TSI are under the zero line, kind of neutral. They are not very bearish. Today is giving me the impression that we might actually have an opportunity here. Now, I want to see how this is going to behave tomorrow, especially after earnings from AVGO. I think AVGO, we're going to check AVGO today as well, but after, and I think that the earnings are tomorrow night, I believe, or after hours. But anyways, I want to see how the whole sector behaves. NVIDIA had a pretty decent day today as well. I think the fact that AMD is lagging behind on not only price action, but maybe technology is something that is probably going to get resolved sometime next year. And that is why I'm starting to bet on this. Now, when I was looking at the date, I think I might also buy August or September calls later on. So if this continues going down, right now my calls are green. I might sell those calls and go back and buy August or September. We'll see. But or I might have just both May and August, or May and September. But anyways, this is not looking bad. In the sense that I think there's probably gonna be a rebound, either somewhere around this area or worst case scenario towards 121. My limit is 121. If we actually go under 121, I will probably take a loss. And but again, I'm starting with a very small position, so for now I'm just being very conservative, considering the fact that we can still have a continuation to this sell-off. I just, in a way, I'm trying to anticipate the move by slowly building a position somewhere in this area. And again, my limit is 121. If we go under that, I'm probably gonna cry a little bit and rip off the band-aid and sell. It's that simple. Anyways, AMD not looking bad in this area right now. We'll see how we react tomorrow and towards the end of the week. We have 2 more trading days this week, and we'll see how we move. Now let's move on to what do I have? ASTS. There's a reason why I am mentioning ASTS, and I'm going to mention some setups that look kind of similar in a way of range. I posted this chart on X, and I just mentioned the range. This range has been here for, if we actually count 31 to 21, so, or 21 to 31, from support to resistance on these levels. We have been in this range since August, and looks like we're obviously going to continue here for a few more days, maybe weeks. We were down 3.28%, which is fine. We're right under the 35 SMA. MACD and TSI are very neutral, right on the zero line. This is a volatile stock. I think that a positive catalyst is going to shoot this up, but I just love the fact that it's consolidating here and is in this range. That might give us an opportunity later on, but it still needs some time. You still have to be patient. You still have to wait. Your support level is 21, and your resistance level, you have, I'm adding two resistance levels, which is 27.8 and 31. It's that simple. Now you have a pretty decent amount of liquidity, especially from 23 to 31, and you have lower liquidity from 23 towards 21 and actually towards 13. So be very mindful of that. You can, I think if you break 21, you're probably going to hit the 200 SMA straight up. So be mindful of that. But I like this type of setups, especially for how violent they tend to move when they break. I think if we break 31, we're definitely going to move very nicely to the upside. If we break 21, then there's opportunity to trade to the downside, and you're probably going to hit the 200 SMA. So you have this very critical support and resistance level. Your support is 21.3, I'm sorry, and your most critical support level is 31. Now let's move on to the next name, and that is AVGO. Now AVGO is still playing on this very nice pattern. So this bottom pattern right here, round bottom pattern, you had this right here that didn't break, and then you got rejected, and then you have another one. So now you can argue maybe this is a cap and handle and whatnot. Not exactly yet, but we got to this level again today, and we couldn't break it. So you got rejected on 185. And let's take a look at the 5-minute. You almost hit it, and then you came down towards the end of the trading day. Now, one of the problems that I have with this setup is that you have earnings tomorrow after the bell. Now, what are we going to get out of this? Well, nobody knows, right? But hopefully it's something positive, so the rest of the sector can also move with AVGO. I think if AVGO beats, this is going to rally very nicely. Unfortunately, at least for me on how I like to trade, I don't want to put any lot, or I didn't, and I'm not going tomorrow. I'm not going to bet on earnings because I just don't want to guess, and I you know, it's a good practice to protect your capital. So I'm not going to play this, not even if the setup looks pretty nice. MACD and TSI are looking really good, and the RSI is also looking good. So volume is coming back in, and you're coming out of volume of liquidity, and you're gonna get into price discovery, which will probably propel the stock, especially if you have a positive catalyst in the way of good earnings. We'll see what we get tomorrow. This is intriguing. I think if AVGO has decent earnings, the sector is going to move with it, and that's going to be very positive. I think Nvidia right now, where it is, even though it has had a 3% day, I think Nvidia would give us more. AMD will probably move as well. And AVGO, today it was up 6.63%. AVGO might, well, definitely if it beats, it's gonna move very nicely to the upside. That's my take. Now let's mention where are you? EA. Now I'm mentioning EA once again. I have done it on the last this or since the 6th, I have mentioned EA 3 times. This is the 3rd time. Now, what I'm intrigued about is this formation right here. Now, we can also argue that we are getting into range, which is pretty obvious. You can see it here, just like ASTS. And then the next sticker that I'm going to show you is also giving you some indications. But you can argue that you have a double top. That is very valid as well. Now you have to break the neckline, which is the support level, to get that thesis validated, and then you will go towards the 35 SMA, and then just continue going down. I don't know if you're gonna go down all the way to 147, considering that you have low liquidity here. It is possible, but for now, you just want to focus on this. I think since the trend is up, and now we got rejected at 162 or 163 pretty much after a sell-off in the beginning of the day. You came back, and then you had another sell-off throughout the day. It's a very nice setup actually for day trading, especially the way I like to day trade. Putting that aside, I do think that if we continue going towards 168, and if we break, then we're going to have a very nice opportunity. There's a couple of negatives on this setup, and at least to my eyes are pretty obvious. One is that the MACD and the TSI are telling you a different story, the RSI as well. That these 3 indicators are telling you that the tendency and the strength of the stock is to the downside. You also have higher volume coming from sellers today. And you have this double top. So my recommendation, or at least what I tell myself when I see this kind of stuff, I just want to see the behavior between support and resistance. If we break support tomorrow, I wouldn't touch it. As I mentioned before, I don't want to trade to the downside. I don't think it's prudent right now to do that, considering that the market still has a strength to the upside. But if tomorrow or the next few days you see candles going towards 168.5, then the setup is going to get very interesting. Again, if we break support, this idea of maybe zigzagging here or consolidating in this range would get invalidated, but the double top thesis would get validated. So you have this kind of like, you just have to wait, to be honest. Now let's move on to another setup that I like, and that is GEV. And let me take a note here. I have it on my short list, and the reason is, well, this consolidation looks even better than what you had from ASTS, in my opinion, and what you have in EA. EA is just starting to form, and we still don't know if it's going to break support or not. But what I like about this, and this, this graph or chart is looking, in my opinion, pretty decent. Today you were up 5.5%. Yesterday you actually closed on top of the 35 SMA. That's pretty good. You don't have any other indicators other than 35 SMA, and the reason is because the IPO was back in April, so you don't have any data for the 325 SMA or the 200 SMA. So you're right in the 325 SMA. The 35 SMA. You are on top of support, which support level right now is 318, and you're right under resistance at 355.5, which is quite interesting. You have a nice level of liquidity here. You have a volume shelf right here. MACD and TSI are kind of cooling down, but they are not that bearish as what we are seeing, for example, on EA, which is a good indication. This might need 1 or 2 more days. I think by Friday we're going to know the direction. Hopefully we break resistance, and at that point, this is going to be, in my opinion, a very good opportunity. Take a look at the volume. You had this red volume right here. Now you have this push of volume that we had today. So today we had twice as much volume as yesterday, and the same. So it was this obviously increase of volume of sellers, but now you have this solid amount of volume coming from buyers. This is looking quite interesting. This is, by the way, this is on my short list right now, and it's looking very nice. Again, your resistance level 355.5 and your support level 118. Whatever breaks first is going to take the direction. I'm more bullish in this case because we're on top of the 35 SMA. We are already over this volume shelf, and we are getting approximating with volume and momentum towards resistance. We might get a surprise tomorrow. We'll see. Now let's move on to, where are you? Google. Well, remember what I told you. I don't have them anymore. Calls for Google. I bought them somewhere on this candle right here. I sold yesterday. Today we had another 5% beautiful move from Google. Is up 0.58% after hours. So we're right up here. All-time highs. Beautiful move. MACD and TSI are just starting to move. Are there? I mean, the thing is just, in my opinion, just starting. Volume is just coming in. This thing is pushing, and it's pushing hard. I love it. I like what I'm seeing. And, you know, if you actually cut any of this move, I'm super happy. Now, eventually this is going to cool down. We're probably going to come down under this prior highs, 193. But again, this move is very, very nice. It's very solid. I'm glad I actually got these calls when there was kind of like a sell-off due to on this area here. Google was selling off because of the Department of Justice situation or whatnot, which is still there, by the way. My calls were for January 17th, and I bought them back here. So this was November, so they were like a couple of months away when I bought them. And that's the reason why I sold, is because now I'm buying April and May calls. That's how I'm approaching my trading. Even if I sell or if I day trade, I'm just buying calls that are far away from expiration date. Anyways, this is beautiful. Very happy for you if you actually took advantage of this setup. Now let's move on to HIMS. And you know, I'm starting to like even more this the setup. Is coming into this range. Today you had a pretty strong sell-off right off the get-go. Like as soon as you open, it totally ripped to the downside, and then buyers came back in. We have seen that before. If you have been trading HIMS, look at this thing. You have seen this before. This is another, just like EA, a nice opportunity for day trading right here. This looks pretty obvious to me. I was trading Microsoft today, so I didn't see this in particular. But one of the things that I am a little bit enthusiastic about is how this level right here, which is a previous all-time high, is 29.7, how strong this thing is behaving. You went all the way down towards, what is it, 28.75, and then you came back with a lot of strength, and you still closed on top of support. That is pretty good. I think we still have momentum to continue going towards 25. That is very, very possible. So I'm not saying that now we're going back towards 35 and maybe we're going into range, which is a possibility. But if you ask me, I think the MACD and the TSI is still pretty weak. They're about to cross their signal line. In both cases, they're behaving very similarly, which is a pretty solid indicator that this is probably going to continue going down towards 25. Could be wrong. This stock has been very volatile and a little bit hard to predict in some cases. As far as day trading, it's been a little bit easier to predict, I guess, to the upside, especially from this area right here, somewhere from here all the way towards these candles, right? This one candle right here. But now I think that there is a good chance we're going to go down towards filling this gap towards the 35 SMA. Therefore, you're going towards 25.5, and we'll see what happens there. Now, if we come back up and we start in range, that's also very positive. You're building more liquidity here. So this whole area is consolidating much better. The only volume gap that you have here is this obvious area right here that I always highlight the gaps, just because they tend to feel. Let's put it that way. HIMS is looking good. Again, long term. If you're a long term investor, I wouldn't be too worried about this upsize, about this kind of moves. But in reality, I like it at 25, but I also like it at 29.7, where it's right now. Right now it's at 30, but I like it in these two support and resistance areas, or right now both of them are support. So I like it there. I would love it. Now you can hate me as much as you want for this. I would love it at 23 or at 21, because I would definitely jump on that. But for now, I'm taking it day by day. I think that based upon indicators, only on indicators, I think this can continue going down towards 25, which would be very nice. But there is a possibility, considering how buyers came in today, that you're actually going to try to push towards 35. We'll see what happens tomorrow. This thing needs a little bit of time. We might get a surprising day as we have before, that rallies 10%, 15%. Who knows? But if we put that aside, this needs a few more days, some time, to actually get direction into it. That being said, let's move on to the next name, and that is INOD. And I'm intentionally mentioning these names because of these setups. So I gave you EA, GEV, ASTS, and now INOD, and I have one more that has this setup. And I guess one of the most recent ones that was very similar to this was Datadog. And go back to the chart, go back to those videos, and just look how that ended up playing out. I mean, this setup is very is very solid as far as how it tends to break, and it works better if it if it breaks on the direction of the trend. So in this case, if it breaks to the upside because the trend is to the upside, then this is going to give you a very nice return. Now in this case, like in the other cases, this still need a little bit more time. We are now well on our way towards 36.15. If we hit this level, we're probably going to be hitting the 35 SMA. Now, just like in the case of EA, MACD and TSI are looking a little bit precarious. I understand that part. So you just have to be very cautious on how the stock is going to behave when we get into support. I think if we had another red date tomorrow, we are going to see if buyers jump back in, then we're probably going to have a better clue on how this is going to behave. If we break resistance, support, just like what we were saying on EA, you're probably going to cut through the 35 SMA like nothing and probably fill this gap because you have low liquidity here. So this level is very critical. This level is more critical right now than your resistance level. So let's see if buyers come back in. I think if buyers start pushing this is going to have a very nice opportunity. It just needs a little bit more of time. And if you go under resistance at 36.15, forget about the 35 SMA, which is this indicator here. You're going straight into filling this gap. It's that simple. It's worth keeping an eye on this. Just don't risk any money yet. It's not worth it yet. Now let's move on to what I was trading today. It was a very nice trade. That is, where are you? I always have a hard time, even when I'm trading, finding. This list is pretty long. That is Microsoft. Let me take another note. Very nice move. I was trading this thing right in this area, in these candles right here. because I didn't turn on my computer until like 6, right when the market was opening. I turned on my computer, and I saw this, and I was looking at the 1 minute while I was looking at the 5 minute. So I was going. I only trade with two screens. So one screen is my brokerage account, and the other screen is just a chart. So I don't have like a million charts going on. I just like to focus. If I'm on a trade, I'm trading one chart, and that's it. And then I go from the 1 minute just to see the speed of the candles and the 5 minute. And then I basically decide how to enter on the 5 minute candle. So I think I either got into this candle or this candle, and then I got out on this one right here. So this was pretty nice. Now, what I did after that, I was like, well, I think there's more opportunity. And I started buying. I do remember this clearly, right on this candle right here. My thought process was, well, this is either going to break the 35 SMA on the 5 minute and either, kind of hang on it, or it's just going to continue going down, which is going to give me an opportunity to buy more. And I was kind of hoping that was going to be the case. So I did buy a little bit more, and then towards the end of the day, you close right on the 35 SMA on the 5 minute chart. Now, if you look at the 1 minute, just like some other stocks like Google, for example, now the setup is different here. This still has more fuel in the tank. MACD and TSI don't look extended or anything like that. The RSI is about to be overbought if we have a green day tomorrow. I think if we go back towards 435 or 445 or 443, I'm sorry, there might be another opportunity to buy a little bit more. So I didn't get too heavy into Microsoft because I was thinking if tomorrow is a red day, I might actually buy more. These are April calls. I might buy either May or June calls for Microsoft, but I think we're gonna move towards 450 and then start going at 468 or all-time highs. This is moving very nicely, and sometimes you have very continuous moves from Microsoft, like you can see here. You also see it right here, and you have seen that over and over and over that sometimes this thing starts moving and it doesn't stop moving. I remember looking at Microsoft back in 2023 or 2022, and there were some moves that were like, I think it was on this range. No, it wasn't here. Somewhere in it was ranging in some area, probably here. I don't know, or maybe here. And to me, it was kind of obvious that things were gonna move very nicely. I also remember mentioning Microsoft, Meta, and Netflix. I think in this area as well. Anyways, yeah, it was back in May, and then you had this nice rally. So that is why I'm trying to buy calls that are dated, and April might be maybe too close. Maybe I should start buying June, but we'll see. I think this definitely there is opportunity here. If we get a couple of red days, I'll be fine. It's more opportunity to buy a little bit more. But in general terms, I think we're moving towards 450. And then once we get to 450, which is this area right here, then we can reassess and see, well, are we forming resistance right on this where you see these candles right here? And we'll see. You have low liquidity. Like, look how this was moving on this liquidity area. So this volume shelf was a little bit shorter before these candles came in here. And now you have a very low liquidity area here. If you go over 155, then you're moving very fast, very quickly towards 468. That's my take on this. There is definitely opportunity here on Microsoft. I think still has more gas in the tank. Now let's move on to the last name, and that is Palo Alto Networks. And let me take a quick note on this. Okay, another one that is in range. I like trading this. I like the fact that you have low liquidity in this area right here, especially right over 400. So we're right underneath that. And after that, you get into price discovery. Look at that chart. That's crazy. So we'll see. I think the MACD and the TSI are looking better. They're looking better than INOD. They're looking better than EA, for example. So this is actually on the top of my list for this one setup. So I have Palo Alto. Then second on the list is ANOD. The third one is GEV. The fourth one is EA, and the last one is ASTS. That is basically the order that I have of priority on how I should be looking at these things. I think if we break 400 with momentum, we are going to hit resistance very easily because you have less liquidity here. And then if you break this resistance level, this thing is going to move. Now, I wouldn't mind if we retest at 35 SMA or if we retest 381. And the reason for that is because then the MACD and the TSI are going to be closer to their zero line, and the RSI is also going to be lower under 50. But either way, I think if this breaks, this is going to move. There is still more momentum. Today it had a 2.22 day of 2.22% up. And look at this chart on the 5-minute. It was pretty solid from the beginning of the trading session all the way up. It didn't feel this gap or anything like that. It just kept moving. Beautiful, beautiful. A very nice contrast to what you had the day before. But anyways, this is looking fantastic. It's looking good on the 5. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. And look at that. Bam. Bam. And then buyers are coming back in. You're on the 15. You're on top of the 200 SMA. Very nice. Let's take a look at the 30. Yeah. Sorry. Let's move on from 5. I just want to see all this. This is not looking bad at all. Anyways, still need a little bit of time. We want to see if we're going to retest support, which it wouldn't be bad, but we also want to see how we behave at the 400 level, which were $1.50 away. That's nothing. And how we behave obviously at resistance. If we get rejected, then this thing is going to get, it's going to coil up a little bit more. This is looking good in my opinion. This is a very good setup taking shape that is going to give us a very nice opportunity for a swing trade. Well, guys, this is all I have for today. Thank you very much. Please subscribe and like the video. Put comments if you want to share any ideas. But other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.